The Latin word monachus, the word in which the English word monk is derived, means someone who lives alone. Monks don't actually need to live alone, but did for much of their early existence.
The first Christian monk, Saint Anthony of Egypt, lived a normal Christian life until he decided to follow the words of Jesus in the Gospel of Mark and donated his 300 acres of land to the poor and went into the Egyptian desert to pursue his ideal state of holiness and seclusion from society.
Early Christian monks attempted to live in solitude, but as more and more Christians desired to join monks and learn how they lived, monks were forced to live in unison with monks like themselves. Christian monks then began to live together in communities that still remained isolated from society and focused on the devotion to God.
As these new communities of monks and nuns formed, it became evident that there was no rule for them to live by. Many new rules of monastic life were written down during medieval times, including a very commonly followed one, called the Rule of St. Benedict. Now we will have Father Edward Seaton to tell us more about the rule.
Well, I think to understand how the rule of Benedict regulated the lives of monks and nuns, it's important to understand that at the time when monasticism emerges, the world in which Saint Benedict lived, which had been Roman, was rather disordered. It was sort of chaotic. The rule of Benedict kind of emerges out of those times of instability and uncertainty, and it was a way of life that promised regularity, it promised safety, it promised, us a pattern to live. And of course, Benedict doesn't specify a lot of what monks do on a day-to-day basis, but the entire day was punctuated by moments of prayer. And of course, Benedict outlines from chapters 8 to 20, I think, or 8 to 22, specifically how the monks are to pray, what psalms are to say at this time, at this time, at this time, what times the meals are, what happens when they wake up in the morning, what happens when they go to bed, what they wear. There's even instances of what they should and should not eat, and so some very profound things about how decisions are made, about authority structures, all of which were kind of a new way of looking at life, and it was sort of a promise of a life of security that was based upon the Gospels. It also includes the work that the monk does. There's nowhere in the Rule of Benedict where he specifically says, monks will farm, or monks will teach, or monks will work in the scriptorium. Benedict just talks about work in general and the value of manual labor. That sort of gives you a sense of ownership and stewardship of where you are and contributing to the common good. But the reality is, monk's life is a combination of work and prayer, and it kind of goes back and forth.
The Rule of St. Benedict and its emphasis on work and prayer provided an outline for the lives of monks in the monastery, who were to focus on physical labor and organized prayer to God. Monks were not the only people to devote their lives to God by living isolated from regular society. Nuns, or a female member of a religious community, also lived in monasteries. Originally, monks and nuns lived in the same monastery, and they prayed together but lived separately.
In later times, monks and nuns began to act as missionaries. Monks and nuns would travel to non-Christian civilizations and peacefully convert them to Christianity. St. Patrick was held as a slave in Ireland for much of his life and converted a previously pagan Ireland to Christianity.
Irish monks then became important missionaries after Ireland was converted. Irish monks would embark on voluntary exile, known as exile for the love of God, and would travel abroad and convert foreigners to Christianity. Irish monks such as Aidan of Iona contributed to the conversion of Scotland and England.
Monasticism was and still is an important part of Christianity, as monks changed the Christian ideal from a martyr to a practicing monk, peacefully spread the Christian religion all over Europe, and changed Christianity forever.